This is the Construction Leading Edge podcast from constructionleadingedge.com and buildermasterclass.com. My name is Todd DeWalt, and it's my job to help you, the construction business owner and leader, eliminate chaos and maximize profit. I've got an interview for you today with Matt Hobbs from ProHome. They're a warranty management company. And here's what you're going to learn. Regardless of what kind of work you do, you're probably dealing with a warranty. So here's what you're going to learn. How to prevent warranty claims, regardless of the type of work you do. You're going to get 4 keys to a rock-solid warranty program. You'll also hear from Matt about some of the biggest challenges that builders are facing right now. He works with dozens, if not hundreds, of builders from all over the country. So he has a unique vantage point from there. We'll also talk about some of the root causes behind warranty issues, and you'll learn about the surprising connection between your referrals, your repeat business, and your customer's experience during the warranty period. We talk about what 4-wall execution is and some of the benefits of finding a partner to handle your warranty program. This is good stuff, regardless of what kind of work you do. But before we get into that interview, let's hear from a couple of my sponsors. One other thing I want to mention is an issue that I hear from contractors on a weekly basis. They tell me things like, Todd, we're busier than ever. I have more work in backlog. I have more employees, but we're not making the money we should. Or we're making less money than we have when we had less work, or we're actually losing money. And I'll cut right to the chase. The problem is profit bleeds. There's plenty of profit in the projects, but that profit is bleeding out through a variety of ways. And what you need to do, if that's you, is you need to identify those profit bleeds and then put systems in place to eliminate the profit bleeds. If that sounds familiar to you, if you are losing profit, if you feel like profit is bleeding out of your projects, go back and listen. I want to tell you about 2 things. One, go back and listen to episode 156, where I walk through 8 profit bleeds that cause really busy contractors to lose money. Secondly, if that's you and you're concerned about that and you want to put together a plan to eliminate those profit bleeds, then let's set up a free strategy call. I would love to get on the phone with you, walk through some of those profit bleeds, and help get you started mapping out a plan to eliminate those profit bleeds. All you need to do is go to my website, constructionleadingedge.com, push the red button that says schedule a free call, and we'll get on a call, talk through those profit bleeds, and help you put together an action plan to stop that bleeding. Time is money, and it's time to optimize your asset management. Enter Bosch Bluehound, a Bluetooth tag-based system that can be applied to virtually any asset in your inventory, even large equipment and fleet. Reduce wasted time, prevent injuries, and plan your team's future equipment needs with Bosch Bluehound. With just a glance at your mobile device, you can track your team's assets, what crew member has them, and what job site they're located at. Long gone are the days of asset tracking with spreadsheets or paper and pencil. Streamline your asset management with Bosch Bluehound. For more details, visit bluehound.boschtools.com. That's bluehound.boschtools.com. All right, here we go. This is my interview with Matt Hobbs from ProHome. Enjoy. Matt, welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Todd. How are you?
Good. What part of the country are you in?
I'm in Wichita, Kansas, and that's where our corporate headquarters is. So I'm in Wichita, right in the heart of the middle of the country.
Yeah. Wichita, Kansas in January. I think I've been through there in January. It's pretty exciting. It's tropical destination.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The palm trees are everywhere.
All right. So we're going to talk about how to solve and prevent warranty issues. This is something that all contractors, the vast majority of contractors deal with, is the warranty period. They like to think that once it's built, they're done and gone, but
It's not always the case. I've heard of and dealt with several nightmare situations during the warranty period. So we're going to talk about that, talk about business development. And here's where I'd like to start. You have the unique vantage point of working with a lot of builders, dozens, if not hundreds of builders from all parts of the country. And there's a lot of stuff going on right now in the construction industry, but I'm curious, what are some of the biggest challenges that builders are facing right now based on your experience?
Yeah, I think first off, most builders and developers are truly thankful right now to be in the industry that we're in. COVID hasn't hit our industry like many other industries, so we're blessed in that sense. But there are some challenges that builders and developers are facing right now. Obviously, lumber prices are one, right? And those kind of affect your bottom line. And, I think the trends is that we're starting to see some of that flatten out a little bit. I think that the projections are that might flatten out, but that's something that is, causing some issue. I think something that we don't think about, or one of the challenges that builders are facing is at this time, most builders in the months of, August, September, October, probably had a lot of record months because, people were looking to move out of apartments, move into new construction. They felt like it was cleaner and safer. And so a lot of people and builders that I've been talking to have kind of sold out of some of their stock and some of their land. And so you really have to have a good process in place for how are you going to long-term project this? Because you can go on a building and a selling spree, and then in 2 years or 3 years, you might be wiped out. So I think it really shows the dexterity of the builder themselves to kind of have that forward thinking and not just strike while the iron's hot. And some of those are challenges that they are facing. I think that there are still and will continue to be a shortage of workers in construction. And I think some people are struggling to find quality trades that want to do the work. So that can push some timelines back. But for every challenge, there's always obstacles to overcome. And I think that this industry is pretty resilient.
What are some trends that you're seeing? Or you mentioned people are moving out of moving into single family homes, but are you seeing trends? I've heard of mass exodus from certain states like California, Illinois, moving to Tennessee, Florida, Arizona, but there's a mass exodus out of certain states. And I've heard that there's a mass exodus out of cities, either because of the combination of all the crazy stuff that happened in 2020. Are you seeing, what are some of those trends that you're seeing from your vantage point?
We are seeing those trends. And ProHome, and we'll talk a little bit about it later. ProHome, we work with single family and multifamily. So we have a lot of high-rise condo projects that we manage warranty for in New York City. And we are starting to see a little bit of that. People are moving out of the city into some places where they can have a little land, right? And then you have people from the coast that are moving to places like Texas. As I'm sure Austin is a hotbed right now for not only people and families, but also tech and industry. In fact, I spoke to a builder just the other day that they've already sold out of all of their stuff for 2021. They're already booking for 2022. And a lot of those 2021 bookings came from people that were moving into Texas and into the Austin area. So I think you're starting to see that people in every area of their life are wanting a little more space, right? And wanting to be able to move around a little more, and especially with the homes, with so many people working from home nowadays, the home office has become, the new third car garage. Everybody wants a home office now.
What else? Are there any other trends that you're seeing? Maybe it's home sizes increasing, more people getting into multifamily development. What are some other trends that you're seeing?
Yeah, I think some of the other trends are, right now, build for rent is really hot. People are investors are seeing that and wanting to build for rent. I think the other reason, one of the things we're seeing with new construction is right now with interest rates where they are. Some people who hadn't quite thought of moving into a home, are now doing that because of the interest rates. Other people, maybe they wanted a home at a certain price point, but now with interest rates, they might get out over their skis a little bit and get into a home that they wouldn't normally have. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing a little bit. Especially like I said, build for rent is one of the big things. Right now, investing in multifamily properties is huge because I think that people believe in, and I think we will see people will move back to that. Some people just don't want a single family home because they don't want all the upkeep. So the multifamily investment is really hot right now as well.
I saw an interesting economic indicator recently. U-Haul actually publishes monthly or annual reports showing the states that have the highest one-way rentals out of the state and the highest one-way rentals into the state, which should give some indication of where people are moving from and moving into. And Tennessee was the number one for one-way rentals into. There seemed to be a mass exodus out of California, Illinois, New Jersey. So that was an interesting economic indicator. Are there any indicators that you guys look at that help you sort of read the tea leaves about the future of the housing industry?
We always try to follow data, right? You always try to follow the trends and you try to follow the data you can trust. The other thing, for us and the builders and developers that we work for, we try to develop that partnership, develop that relationship. And, a lot of it is talking to them. What are they seeing? Because, most builders, especially if it's a custom builder or someone that is, a little more dependent on people, wanting to purchase maybe a plot of land and then put a house there, they're really looking out ahead because this is their livelihood. They're not a builder that builds 800 homes a year and people are just flocking to them. So, a lot of that is just listening to the builders as well. But obviously, the NAHB does a great job of really getting good data and putting stuff out there. So they're a great resource for that as well.
All right. So before we get into some of the root causes behind warranty issues and how to prevent them, just give us a brief introduction of yourself and what kind of work you do.
Sure, absolutely. Well, my name is Matt Hobbs, and I'm the Director of Business Development with ProHome. Todd, it's great to be on with you and great to be part of the podcast. I've listened to quite a few episodes, and so a fan from the beginning. So I'm pleased to be on here. But I came to ProHome a little over a year ago with some sales and management experience, and started really working in a business development role, and that is my main job with ProHome. Right now we are in 21 different states. And at the corporate level, we're always looking to push into different markets, right? Looking to expand on the markets that we're in. And that's really my job. And, I took over this position in December of 19. So just as I was getting my feet underneath me, here comes COVID, and my job in the job description had a lot of travel, had a lot of meeting builders face to face, and so obviously, like most people, you're not being able to travel, not being able to do those things, right? You have to be agile, you have to be flexible, and things like Zoom and Microsoft Teams, really allow us to still connect, and in fact, it kind of tests your business model a little bit, right? How can you adapt? And so we've worked really hard the last year to be able to adapt and to be able to grow. We've had a lot of growth in 2020 despite everything that was going on. We started 2021 really well, and so it's an exciting time to be at ProHome because we're a 37-year-old company, but we're just gaining some traction. So it's exciting, and it's an exciting time to be here.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people, a lot of builders and remodelers felt like in order to sell a project, they had to sit at the kitchen table or across the desk from the owner, and that wasn't an option. And they figured out, oh, not only can I make deals without being in person, it actually works better. And I can spend a lot less time, a lot less windshield time. And why would I ever go back? So it's interesting how pandemics like this can force us to do smarter things. So yeah, that's good to know.
Absolutely.
We're going to get into some, I'll try to extract some business development tips here from you in a few minutes, but
Sure.
Let's jump into this question. What are some of the biggest, maybe not so apparent root causes behind warranty issues? And this is really specific to building projects, multifamily, single family homes.
Sure. I think when you're looking at, warranty, obviously warranty is the end product, right? But warranty is really, an accumulation of everything that happens before. And it's easy to say that the root cause behind warranty issues are craftsmanship in construction, right? I mean, it's easy to say that the product you actually build determines it all, and it does. But there are some other determining factors. One of the things that I think are kind of the root causes behind some warranty issues are really having a good initial walkthrough and documentation before everything starts. Being able to trust your processes. And I think sometimes with builders and developers, there are so many things that get thrown at you, and it's easy to get behind schedule. And sometimes we feel like because we're a little behind schedule, now we have to rush, right? And I think staying true to the processes that your company has put in place can, make sure that you don't, have issues that might not have been caught, prior to. I think the other thing, one of the main causes is homeowner education about their home. Homeowners have to realize that once their home is built, right, their home is a living, breathing thing, and it's going to move and it's going to shift. And when your home is built, right then, that's the best that it's ever going to look. And there are things, environmental things that might happen, but educating the homeowners on some things that they can do to potentially, take those warranty issues and minimize them. Things that might be some homeowner maintenance, but also understanding the warranty process and understanding what is warrantable and what is non-warrantable, and just having that understanding, because the more they understand about the home, about the construction process, and about the processes that were built in along the way, the more that they're going to understand in the next year or two afterwards.
Let's talk about the statement you said you need to trust your processes. What would be one of those processes that is behind warranty issues? Or another way to ask that question would be, what's a good process to put in place? If you look across a lot of the issues you've dealt with, if you could say, if they just had a good process for fill in the blank, it would make their job so much easier.
I think sometimes, in the building of a home, it is a process, and it could be a 6-month, 8-month, 10-month process. And, having a construction manager or superintendent who's on site, being able to, oversee a lot of different aspects of the home building. But I think the process that I would say is that would help and the most beneficial is having that checks and balances, right? Having someone within that corporation or someone, some sort of manager that's involved that is going to also double check the work and double check the sign-offs and double check everything. Because sometimes, as in any business, sometimes if it's your product, you can become jaded a little bit, and you can only see it through one lens. So having those checks and balances, we think about it, it should be second nature, but sometimes as the ball rolls, you just get going, and sometimes you forget. So staying true to those checks and balances, I think is very beneficial.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of benefit to having an objective third party, or at least a second party, to review the work at certain points. One of the things I advise folks to do, whether it's commercial, or a couple of things I would advise people to do, whether it's commercial or residential, would be to plan better and do some pre-installation conferences. Like, for example, I'll bet water intrusion is probably a big issue for a lot of homes. It is on the commercial side. So, and it's not just a window issue, it's an entire assembly issue. So the sheathing, the waterproof membrane, the flashing, the window, it all has to tie together. And those are done by 2 or 3 different trades. So just a quick pre-installation conference, maybe a mock-up. I've found that mock-ups are almost invaluable when it comes to this, because you can write 5 pages about how to flash a window in specification form, and it's not nearly as good as a picture or even a video. And one of the best things I've ever heard was a builder told me, we started doing visual scopes of work. We took pictures of what it should look like, put a green check mark on the picture. We took pictures of what it shouldn't look like and put a red X. So this is what it should not look like. This is especially helpful for people who don't speak English as a native language.
Sure.
So visual scopes of work are great. And having somebody else check the work at specific phases. I think a myth and a misconception is, well, we'll pick it up at the punch list.
Right.
Well, if there's a framing issue and you pick it up at the punch list, then you don't have a punch list issue. You have a gigantic rework problem on your hands. And a lot of short-term big costs can be avoided when they're caught early. I had a project that comes to mind. It was an emergency department addition for a hospital, and the layout was, there was like a racetrack of hallway around a few exam rooms, and the metal stud framing was in, all the plumbing, the electrical was in the walls. And I was walking through it one evening before I left, and I noticed, like, these walls don't look parallel to the sprinkler lines above ceiling. Like, something's not off or something's not right. And I pulled a tape, and whoever shot the track down and laid it out had it out of square, like 6 inches. And all of that, it would have been hung with drywall, finished, painted, ceiling grid would have been put in. It would have been a gigantic mess. It was a big mess, but fortunately it got caught when it did.
Yeah.
Now, the better time to catch it would have been when somebody snapped the chalk lines down.
Right. And fix it at the very beginning until not everything got done. But
it's a lot easier to snap new chalk lines than to pull plumbing and everything out and move.
Absolutely.
So some good QA, QC, it will prevent a lot of those problems at the end. Processes are key. You also said homeowner education is a good way to prevent warranty issues, which I completely agree with. If somebody's thinking, all right, makes sense to me, what should I start with? What's one thing that every home builder should educate their customers on? What would you say is at the top of that list?
I think the first thing to educate a homeowner on is, first, what is warrantable and non-warrantable, right? And what we have with ProHome is, obviously we give them a warranty book that's 80 pages long. And we know that they're not going to read the whole thing. So we also put together what we call a warranty review guide. And that review guide hits the main points. So first thing is talking to them about what is warrantable and not warrantable. The second thing is educating them on what is an emergency and what's not an emergency. because sometimes people think that, well, this paint doesn't quite look right. I need to call and this needs to be taken care of right away. That's cosmetic. That's not an emergency. But I think other than those two things, maintenance tips are huge. Being able to give a homeowner a maintenance guide and sometimes even a maintenance schedule of, you should check weep holes, every 6 months. And so giving them a little timeline of here's what you should check and here's when, because they might not remember everything, but they will remember a couple of things. And if you can educate them on those things, that is a good start. We also provide through ProHome, our manager of builder services, we've actually went through and videotaped some homeowner maintenance. So they have videos that are on our website that if you've never cleaned a weep hole, if you don't know how to change, the filter in your furnace, we have videos that talk about how to do that. So sometimes first-time homeowners, they just don't know what they don't know. So if you can provide them a video to say, hey, take a look at this, here's how you do it. Everything's technology these days. So while they might not read that warranty manual, they might watch that 30-second video that tells them how to do some things.
Yeah, that's a great idea. In the commercial world, it's pretty typical to put together O&M manuals, operations and maintenance manuals, and then even have owner training, right, which is required for some complex systems, rooftop units, VAV systems, temperature controls, variable frequency drives. There's some really complex stuff that they would just never be able to figure out. Emergency generators, things like that. And that's a great point. I think a lot of builders and remodelers would do their customers and themselves a great service by taking 30 minutes and saying, let me show you where the furnace is. And especially if it's in an attic somewhere or it's not apparent, this is where the filter is. And this is the size of filter you need to buy. And this is when you need to change it. This is what changing it actually looks like. This is your water heater. This is what you need to do to maintain your water heater, and putting that stuff together. But you bring up a great point. There's this knowledge gap between builders, remodelers, and customers. And one of the best things I've ever heard was at an event I did about a year ago, a guy named Brian, who is a remodeling contractor in the Northwest, said, look, they're not professional customers. They don't do this stuff every day. They don't move into buildings. They don't turn over projects on a regular basis. So they need some training. So put yourself in their shoes and think, what do they need some training on? What do they need some information on? And proactively do this. There's a great technique that I picked up from one of my favorite books that I've read in the last couple of years. It's called Never Split the Difference. It's written by Chris Voss, great negotiation book. And he has a technique he calls the accusation audit, which is, in this case, you would say, okay, there's going to come a time when you call us and think you have a warranty issue, and it's going to seem like we're being difficult. And we're going to say that's not a warranty issue, but here's why. And you set that anchor and you set that expectation of what is warranted, what's not, and also let them know these are your responsibilities. Like if you don't you don't change the filter in your furnace, then there's going to be a warranty issue. That's going to be on you. There could be some things like that. So I think that's a great idea. Some education on the customer of this is what you need to do. This is what's in, this is what's out. And just being really clear about it up front saves a whole lot of time down the road.
Right. So exactly right.
We've talked about a couple of things to prevent warranty problems during the construction process, like quality control checks. Is there anything else you would add to the list of things that builders and contractors can do to prevent warranty problems during the construction phase?
I think like we talked about, sticking to the schedule, sticking to the expectations. One thing that I think that we have done, definitely on the developer side, definitely with multifamily projects, condos, but even some single family builders are starting to do it as well, is having a quality inspection process. We really try to pride ourselves at ProHome and with our builders and developers on providing a more consistent home on a more consistent basis. And in this quality inspection process, that happens before there is ever a buyer ready for closing. When they feel like that home is kind of ready to go and to present to the buyer, our new home agents will go in and walk the home as if they are the buyer, right? And they're going to be extremely picky, but they're also going to follow national standards and RCPG guidelines. But they're going to go in and walk through it first, and make all the documentation of things that might need to be fixed. And we turn that back into the construction manager, and they fix those things. What we found then is when we get to the new home orientation, where we walk through the home with the buyer, there are far less things to document because it's already been taken care of beforehand. And I think that's where it goes back to being in that home for 6, 8, 10 months, right? There's a certain pride of authorship, knowing that I did this, it's right, I've been doing this for a long time, but having that second set of eyes that's going to go through and is not objective, is on the same team with you, but is just helping you see some of the things that you might not have seen at the time, right? In your story that you told about, the hospital project, right? If there was someone that would have went through and checked all those things beforehand, if it didn't just rely on you walking through one night, that could have been fixed. And that's what they're finding a lot of times with single family, builders now, is if you can prevent the number of claims or the number of, items that are on a pre-closing list, right? That number is directly related to the number of warranty claims, right? If you can take care of some of it on the front end, the stuff on the back end isn't there. And it takes a little bit of extra time, a little bit of extra planning, but the money you save down the road doing some things that you might have been able to catch, right, definitely helps solve some of those problems during the construction process.
Yeah, there's an interesting phenomenon that happens at the end of a project when a customer has a lot of confidence that they're being taken care of, things are going smoothly, then they tend to overlook things. But when they lose that confidence, things start going badly, and they start wondering, what else? This is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing these quality issues. What am I not seeing? What are these guys not telling me? Then they lose confidence, and then they start to examine things with a magnifying glass. And then sometimes it gets a little vengeful, and they're going to get their pound of flesh, so to speak. So it's best to maintain your customer's confidence, keep it high. There's a strong business case for that. So don't rush moving in. Make sure it's done. Right. Make sure you do your own punch list. Actually, there's an interesting concept of no punch list. I've talked to a few people who have a 0 punch list policy that it's not acceptable to have a punch list. We don't expect our customers to come in and tell us what's wrong. That's kind of crazy. You would never buy a car. If somebody sold you $100,000 car and said, "Here's a piece of paper, just tell us what you're not happy with, and then we'll argue about it and bring it back in." That's crazy. Why is it acceptable to do that on a $500,000 home? Interesting.
And I think that's an interesting point. Something else that a lot of builders don't think about when it comes to possible warranty problems, during the construction process, there are some homeowners who have faith in you to do your job, and when it's all over, they'll see the finished product. There are other homeowners who will be driving by the job site every single day and seeing things, right, and want to be completely involved. So I kind of term that as, especially once the home is done, sometimes those warranty issues come from the power of the neighborhood. And what I mean by that is Mrs. Jones down the street had an issue with her home, and her and Mrs. Smith are best friends. So Mrs. Smith is just going to assume that that's wrong. Something's wrong with her home too, because her best friend had it. So sometimes you have that power of the neighborhood, right? And just the talk. So I think sometimes sticking to that process, right? Making sure you have good communication with the homeowners through the entire process, and even up until the closing and even after, can save you, from some of those issues, because they come up as well.
Yeah, it's much better if there's an issue there to find out about it. If there's one issue, let's find out about it through good communication, rather than waiting until it builds up and then there are 3 or 4 little issues. And then there's this emotional vomiting, emotional volcano that's not helpful for anybody. Right. What are some of the top warranty claims that your team is seeing? Is there a leaderboard, so to speak, of, wow, we get a lot of these?
Yeah, and some of them are, not every claim is warrantable, right? I mean, homeowners, like anybody, right? Anything that they see that they don't think is exactly right, there's a call in or a claim that might be right. And so some things are warrantable and some things are not. Some of the main things that are claimed are obviously paint, right? Paint and drywall, things like that. There's usually a lot of issues with concrete, and that isn't always warrantable, because concrete is guaranteed to do 2 things. It's guaranteed to get hard and it's guaranteed to crack, and so those are some things. As far as warrantable claims, a lot of what we see is some flooring issues, and that comes from the settling as well. Obviously there's some issues that we see with HVAC and things like that. Sometimes most of those are covered under manufacturer warranty, so it isn't necessarily on the builder. But those are a lot of claims that come in. Like you said, water intrusion is a big thing. There's water coming in, we can see it, and see the water, but sometimes you can't see where it's coming from. So sometimes that takes some triaging and some diagnosing. And, oftentimes when repairs have to be done like that, usually it's a multi-step repair, right? If it's a plumbing issue, you have to have the plumber come out, but then maybe they messed up the drywall to do it, and then you have to come back and fix that, and then you have to fix the paint. So sometimes there are things that just require other trades, but water intrusion is definitely one of the biggest claims that we see coming through.
Yeah. So when you're talking about drywall, paint, and concrete, you're exactly right. That's a great one to educate people on. Is people say my concrete's cracked? Well, yes, it's supposed to, and every slab of concrete bigger than 10 by 10 or 12 by 12 has a crack in it. It's just, maybe it's under a joint, a control joint, saw joint, but it's cracked and it's designed to crack. So that's a great one to educate people on. I did a lot of industrial warehouse distribution centers. It was the first thing I would educate a tenant on before they walked around. I would tell them, look, this floor is designed to crack. Okay. You will see cracks. And I can tell you there's a crack every 15 or 20 feet. Right. And we're just telling it where to crack. Like, oh, okay. Because in their mind, crack meant settlement, structural failure, problems down the road. But the reality is a crack is not a problem. It's going to crack. There's no way to have crack-free concrete. The best you can do is just tell it where to crack. So
absolutely.
Great point. All right. So let's talk about what are the keys? Maybe we've already covered some of these, but what are the keys to a solid warranty program? And then we'll talk after that about what it means to outsource your warranty program. But what are the keys to a solid warranty program, even if somebody wants to manage this themselves?
Sure. And there are quite a few keys in my mind. Some of them we have already talked about. The first key is that education and communication, right? Being able to educate your homeowner on the warranty, but then communicating, with them about those issues. So I think that's the first key. The second key that is so important in a warranty program is having good follow-up with your subcontractors, right? Your subcontractors, most builders put it in their contract with their subcontractors that they are to warranty their work for a certain period of time, 1 year, 2 years. But the follow-up to getting them to come back, most subcontractors and trades do an excellent job. And some are a struggle because whether it's lack of staffing or they're going forward on new construction, but oftentimes a builder and a subcontractor aren't too different in those aspects, right? Everybody wants to go forward. You make money when you go forward. You lose money when you go backward. So a good key is having good follow up with your subcontractors. And, initially hiring people that you can trust, developing that relationship with the subcontractors. Third key, I think that is most important in the warranty program is having airtight documentation, right? Having documentation that you can trust, making sure that, things are with signed acknowledgement pages and making sure that when the homeowners call in, that you're documenting that call in, that you're documenting what was said, when it was said. If you are following up with a subcontractor, you're documenting when you called, you're documenting, did they show up? And that's one of the things that I think is a little bit of a struggle for some builders to do themselves because the homeowners have their phone number. So sometimes you get those calls while you're driving in your truck. You get those calls, while you're already in the neighborhood. And then, especially if you're at their home. If you're at their home because you're looking for one thing, and they point out 6 other things, you look at all those things then, but do you remember to go back and document them? Sometimes we get busy and we forget that. So airtight documentation is the most, one of the most important. The other key to a warranty program that I think a lot of builders and developers miss is that their warranty program is truly where their referrals happen, where their referrals and their recommendations happen. And what I mean by that is every builder, every homeowner, right, once that home is built, they see the home and they see how beautiful it looks and they see all the fits and finishes. And they might put out a recommendation or they might give a referral to a friend based on that home that they know it right then. And what they'll be referring to a friend or recommending is the process. How easy that builder was to work with, how they did with change orders, the time, did they stay on schedule, did they communicate, right? That's what they're referring. But what builders forget is that that next year or 2 years, however long your warranty program is, that's where your referrals come from. Because I guarantee it doesn't matter how much that homeowner liked your process when the home was being built. If that home's a train wreck in the next year or the next 2 years, they're going to remember that. And they're going to tell everybody about that. So I think that's where your referrals come from. If you have a solid warranty program and you show your homeowners that you're willing to stand behind it, you give them a place to call, you give them a place to document, you truly listen. Even if something's not warrantable, you're still listening. That's where those referrals come in. And I think some builders miss sight of that because the home's closed, it's over, but you still have a year or 2 years, where there's a relationship there. You're still building that relationship even after the sale.
That is a great point because think about it. How big of a tragedy is it to work for 6, 12, 18 months on a project? And sorry, I've got a smoke detector going off. Let's pause. Okay. Maybe I have a warranty claim. Let's try that again. So yeah, it's a great point. It's a tragedy to spend 6, 12, 18 months working on a project to get it done and everything's great, but then to ruin it, to lose all of that reputation because of a couple of warranty claims. And I think it's a great way to think of it is the project's not done until the warranty period's over. And maybe even beyond that. It's not just about the sticks and bricks you put together. It's about, at least through the warranty period, making sure that's all taken care of, and maybe even beyond. So that's a great point. And I think that's a big misconception people have, is they think, well, when it's done, we're done. And
right.
Every attaboy, every good thing you did during construction can be wiped from memory if you don't handle the warranty period correctly. So, all right, I'll throw this question out for you. Okay. What is in it for a builder to outsource their warranty program? Why would they consider outsourcing it?
Sure. I think there are a lot of advantages to outsourcing, and I'll tell you what I think the advantages are, and then I'll tell you why I think some people don't do it. The advantages are, outsourcing your warranty program will truly save you time. It'll save you money, and it'll earn you money as well. I think that oftentimes when we think about outsourcing something, we think about just giving it up, right? And outsourcing your warranty, when you work with someone like ProHome, for example, and I only know this because I don't know about every other company, but I know what we do. And we truly form a partnership with that builder. So you're not giving it up, you're bringing in a partner to help you, right? And the way I talk about it is, even in building a home, there are some things when you're building a home that you can do yourself, right? There are some things you're really good at, but let's say there's something that you're not really great at. You could do it, but it wouldn't be the best. So instead of doing that, you bring in someone that's what they do. They're an expert in that field, and they've had recommendations, and people see them as, the industry leader in that certain aspect. So you bring them in because you know it's going to be a value add. There's not a difference with partnering with someone for your warranty program. The reason why it saves you time is because, just like I said, in building, when you're moving forward, you're making money. When you're moving backward, you're losing money. And oftentimes, the people that have to go back out and do warranty claims or a walkthrough with a homeowner are the construction manager. So then you're pulling them away from something new to go back to something old. So if you have someone to partner with, right, then you're not pulling them away from something new. And a lot of times you don't think about the amount of phone calls that come in and all the time you might spend on the phone and documenting and all of those things. So that's the saving time, saving money. The real reason why outsourcing your warranty or partnering with someone for your warranty saves you money is because oftentimes when you handle your own warranty, you do things that you complete tasks and fix things that sometimes you shouldn't have to fix, right? They're not warrantable, but you want to do them to satisfy the customer or keep that relationship. So oftentimes, right, you might have to do one thing, you end up doing 7 things, and those 7 things cost you money. When you partner with someone for your warranty program, they're going to stick to the warranty guidelines, right? And they're going to stick to the RCPG guidelines. And if it's not warrantable, it's not warrantable. But the difference is that if there's something small that you choose to step out and do on good faith, then you're stepping out and doing that thing that otherwise they would have just expected you to do when you walked in the door. So it's going to save you a little money on that end. Going back to the referral part, that's why it earns you money. The reason why it earns you money is because when you step out and do those things, it's seen as doing something more, going a step further when you didn't really have to. So you go from, taking it a step above to just what was expected. And all of a sudden that gains referrals. Homeowners, more than you would believe, when a homeowner works with us as that third party or as that second set of eyes, they truly see it as the builder protecting the homeowner's investment. right? They know that the builder has done all this, but they're truly telling the homeowner, we're going to protect you with a second set of eyes. So that way, if there's anything that was missed, it's seen by someone that's an impartial third party. And we can get that fixed for you, or we can get you the help you need. So that gains you referrals as well. So that's one of the biggest things. I think that the reason why builders don't choose to partner with someone for their warranty is they feel like that relationship and those referrals and recommendations won't happen if they're not there every step of the way. And I think that's where the misconception is we partner with you. We're here to be an extension of you. We're not here to take your place or be just that other guy that comes in the home. We're here to partner with you. We want the referrals for you as bad as you want them for yourself. And so I think that's the difference between outsourcing and partnering.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. It's really the same reason that builders work with subcontractors or trade partners. You get access to specialized knowledge, access to specialized systems and training, all the intellectual property. You guys focus exclusively on this part of the business. And it's the same reason you hire an electrician, because electricians have specialized equipment, training people, and that's what they exclusively work on. So, yeah, and I think probably one of the biggest benefits, it's hard to put a number to it, but would be the impact on the referrals, because referrals are the holy grail of the construction business. If you can get referrals,
no doubt,
you can have repeat customers and you have happy customers telling their friends. There's no better form of marketing. And if you're losing that, and you may not know that you're losing it, but if you're losing that during the warranty period, then you're spending a lot of time and energy doing estimates and trying to do business development that you could avoid just by executing on the warranty period. I had several years ago, I was walking out of a Longhorn Steakhouse in Louisville, Kentucky. It was about 2:00 in the afternoon, and a manager happened to be opening the door. So I said, one question: what is your business development strategy? You're a restaurant. What's your strategy for growing your business? You can't get people to drive from 2 hours away. And without hesitation, he said, four-wall execution. And when I asked him to explain, he said, when people are inside our four walls, we execute the best we can. We give them the best food, best experience. We get them in, get them out. And if we do that, if we do a good job of four-wall execution, they will come back and they'll tell their friends. And if we don't do a good job, they won't be back and they'll tell everybody to stay away from us. So great stuff there. All right. Can you give us a brief overview of what you guys do, what Pro Home does for builders? Just give us a quick overview on that, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
Sure. Yeah. So, Pro Home is a warranty management company for builders and developers. Like I said before, we see this as a true partnership. We want to have customers or clients or partners for life, right? Not just for a year. So we've really focused on building that partnership. But what we do is we partner with the builder and developer to become the main contact for their homeowners. Now, oftentimes our relationship with the builder and with the homeowner starts at right before closing. We have new home agents that go through and walk through the homes with the buyers to show them, to orientate them to their home, right? Show them the fits and the features, the finishes. But we also do that education process that we talked about as well. We're going to walk through and show them all the major mechanical systems. We're going to show them where those main water shutoff valves are and how to do that. So we give them that maintenance, those maintenance tips and kind of some of the education through that time. But those new home agents are also throughout the warranty are available to do what we call warranty term walkthroughs. Typically happening somewhere between 30 and 90 days and 11 months. Right, homeowners submit claims. We have our agents go back out, and walk with the homeowner So we still keep in contact. All the things that a construction manager would normally do, we do those things for them. One of the things that we provide and that we help builders with is we have a 24/7, 365 emergency service. So they no longer have to answer the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning to fix a plumbing disaster, right? We become that main point of contact. We have people that are trained, and these are people that are within our corporation. So it's not outsourced to someone else. We handle it all within our corporation. And then if something is happening in the middle of the night, we need to get with a subcontractor or a trade, and we do that. So we facilitate that. We have an in-house proprietary software system that allows everything to be documented online. So our homeowners can go online, our builders can go online. And that documentation is stored for 11 years, which is so powerful to a builder because if at any time in 11 years, if a homeowner comes up with something or has something, or the builder has any legal issues, we have all that documentation there, to back them up in the case that they need it. Two things that we do at Pro Home that kind of set us apart from anybody else that might try to do something like we do. The first thing is our builders and developers each have a dedicated team of account managers, which is something that is very different than a lot of other industries. If a homeowner has a claim, and let's say, for example, Abby is your lead account manager. If a homeowner calls in, they're going to talk to Abby every single time. And if they have an emergency, they talk to Abby. And so that's different because like your cell phone provider or your cable provider, you just speak with the first person that picks up the phone. And sometimes you have to repeat yourself over and over again, right? The last thing that we want a homeowner, any builder wants a homeowner to have to do is repeat their emergency over and over again every time they call in. So this adds to the familiarity with the homeowner and with the builder. So that's one thing that sets us apart. The second thing that sets us apart is at Pro Home, when we partner with these builders and developers, we also go a step farther and we do all of the scheduling for their warranty work. So if there are things that need to be fixed or warranty items, we have the list of subcontractors from the builder. So we will contact the homeowner, find a good time to get the work done. We will send out a work order to that subcontractor, and we immediately follow up to make sure that they got it. But then we send reminders, 24 hours in advance to make sure that they show up. And then on the day of the actual warranty work, we are going to document that to completion. We're going to make sure they showed up. We're going to call back the homeowner, make sure things got finished. So we can complete out that warranty work process the entire way. So, a builder or developer doesn't have to have people in-house that do all this for them. We take care of everything. And so that allows for that partnership, through working with Pro Home, right? You get that it is truly a partnership. It's a relationship. And once we get to know the builders, we get to know the homeowners, we get to know the subcontractors. So like I said, we're just not that other guy that's calling, or, the builder just passed that homeowner off to just someone else. We get to develop that relationship. And so that's one of the major benefits of working with Pro Home.
Yeah. And not just a call center, not somebody just managing messages and saying, hey, here's an issue. You
Absolutely
really partner with your builders to take care of that stuff. So I think those are some great, compelling reasons to focus on your warranty period, because that's where your referrals come from, which is a really good insight. And then there are a lot of benefits to outsourcing or partnering with somebody to manage the warranty process, because you only have so many superintendents. Let's face it, all right, superintendents, I've been on the owner side of a lot of projects. Superintendents are not great at warranty issues. That's not what they're built for. They're built to build stuff, not to manage work orders and document. And that's what your company does. So harness the power of folks who have special expertise, special equipment, special processes designed around this, so you can go out and do what you make money at. It's the same argument, the same logic for why I tell people to stop doing your own bookkeeping. You suck at it and you hate it, and it's killing you. There are people who can do it, and it's not so much that yes, it's going to cost you. It's not free, but think about what you can do with that time. That's really what to think about is, what could I do? How much time am I spending dealing with this stuff? And what could I do with that time? Maybe it's selling development. Maybe it's sitting in a tree stand or on a boat. I don't know. But there's probably something more valuable that builders and remodelers can do with their time rather than deal with all of this stuff. So good work.
That's what they think. And when you tell them how they can save them that time, just like anything, that's so powerful. That's kind of our slogan. We allow builders to do what they do best, build homes, right? Those are the things they do best.
Yep. Good stuff. All right. If folks want to find out more about ProHome, where can they go? And if they want to connect with you, where can they do that?
Sure. Well, so our website is www.prohome.com, and you can find us there. And we have a lot of information. And there's also, a way to contact us there. We're all over social media. Our social media department and the marketing department does a great job of getting stuff out there, getting content out there. We have a presence on LinkedIn and Instagram, pretty much any social media. So you can always find us there. You can contact me directly. My email is Matt, MATT, @prohome.com. If anybody would want to reach out directly to me, you could find me there or that contact page on the website.
Great stuff. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to be on here, Matt, and I'll have all those links in the show notes. And thanks so much. This has been very good.
Yeah, perfect, Todd. We really appreciate your time and what you do. We appreciate the platform just to be able to talk about not necessarily ProHome, but just about how builders and developers can level up. That's what we're all looking to do, is to level up. And so we are proud to be part of the process. And like I said, we appreciate your time, and thanks for having us on.
My pleasure. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
All right, be sure to check out the show notes for the links and resources mentioned in this episode. Go connect with Matt and tell him thank you for being on here. Tell him what you got out of this podcast. And if you are interested in the service that he provides, if you're looking for somebody to outsource or to handle your warranty program headaches, then they've got a rock solid program. Looks like they've been doing it a long time. So I appreciate the ratings and the reviews. In fact, here is a recent one from Camilla Jean, who says this: Todd gets great guests with real content and experiences that matters to those of us in construction. The conversations are engaging, and I found insights here that I've applied to my business and shared with others. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Here's one from D. Ross 14. Who said, this is really the only podcast I listen to. Todd talks about a variety of current pertinent topics and brings in specialized guests to interview. Really helpful to hear insight from around the country on how to run a successful business in the current market. Good. I appreciate the reviews. And if you get value from this podcast, would you mind taking about 60 seconds or so to leave a review? I would appreciate it. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, you can leave a review on your podcast player, Spotify, maybe some other ones. Leave a comment. The podcast is also available on YouTube. And if you want to subscribe, you can always listen to it there. But if you could do that, I would really appreciate it. That would mean a lot to me. And it also helps get the word out there to other people. And if you're like Camilla Jean, if you get some value, if you could share this with folks who could get some benefit from it, send them a text message. Say, hey, check out the Construction Leading Edge podcast. I want to help as many people as possible. As always, thank you so much for listening. If you want more resources, head over to buildermasterclass.com for some of the latest resources for general contractors, builders, and remodelers. And you can also hit up my main website at constructionleadingedge.com. And you can also connect with me on LinkedIn. I post quite a bit of stuff on LinkedIn as well. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Todd DeWalt, and if you're looking for me on social, it's DAWALT, not like the tools, but Todd DeWalt, DAWALT. And thanks for listening. I'll see you next time. It's time to digitize your construction site. A great first step is digital asset management. Bosch Bluehound, a Bluetooth tag-based system, can be applied to virtually any asset in your inventory and accessed easily from your mobile device. You can learn more at bluehound.boschtools.com. That's bluehound.boschtools.com.